Welcome to the Smoke Learning channel. In this two-part video series, we will look at how you can change media import settings even though you have already edited your footage into the sequence for your program. Now that sounds quite mysterious, so let me show you what I mean. When it comes to importing media into Smoke, you would normally do this through the Media Hub. You would locate your files, set the relevant settings for the files, and finally import the media. For most formats, this is absolutely fine, but a few years back, a new generation of formats were introduced making media, well, let's say flexible. I am referring to formats such as Red and Arri Raw. Even though you shoot the images at one setting, the footage is a raw format, meaning that you can set the size, coloring, and other properties to what you want. Once you have imported this footage, you treat it like any other source clip inside of Smoke. However, these formats with their raw data are never committed once you import them into Smoke, even if you have already edited them into your sequence. When you select a segment in the sequence, the effects pipeline will display the properties of a segment. This includes any timeline effects, but it also includes the pre-processing settings. You can think of these pre-processing settings as a clip's import history or interpreting the footage if you like. If you don't see the pre-processing button, just click the thumbnail of the segment and it will appear. Clicking this button will take you into the Pre-Processing Editor. Now you can adjust all the import settings relevant to the media. For example, using R3D footage, you can adjust the metadata of the media. You can also adjust the debarring settings. This allows you to adjust the physical size of the frame. And finally, you can adjust all the color information available in the R3D file. Since it is a raw image, there is tons of color information you have access to in order to completely tweak the look of the image. This is not referring to Smoke's color grading tools, but more to adjust the way the image information and color presents itself to Smoke on import. Other pre-processing operations you can do is resize the footage on import. For example, you can have this R3D media debarring at half, which is bigger than HD in this case. But you can resize it to HD on import so the resolution is correct in the sequence. Just set the resolution and enable the active button. Finally, you have the lookup table option or Lutz tools. This allows you to set the color interpretation of the imported footage. The LUT and other color options will be covered in another video series at a later date. A final piece of information regarding the pre-processing menu. The more functions you enable through import settings, resizing, and LUTs, the more taxing it will be on the CPU and GPU of your workstation. Things might slow down because the pre-processing is always a live and non-destructive process. Now what I've shown you works on a clip-by-clip basis. So if you have an edit with a few hundred cuts, you don't want to go into every shot's pre-processing setting and change them. So to up-res a sequence, for example, you would use a different workflow. You would unlink the sequence from its media, reformat it, and then relink it to the same media that will now be imported at a higher resolution. This will be covered in a future workflow video. In part 2 of the pre-processing mini video series, we will look at what happens to pre-processing functions when using Connect effects. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for future videos coming from the Smoke Learning channel.